You know that feeling when a song comes on and from the very first second, you know exactly what it is? It's like magic. Well, today we're pulling back the curtain to figure out the secrets behind some of the most iconic song intros in rock history. Let's get into it. Seriously, think about it. How can something so tiny, just a few notes on a guitar, get so big that it ends up defining the sound, the attitude, the feeling of a whole decade? That's the incredible power we're going to unpack today. So what's the secret ingredient? Well, it all comes down to something called a riff. You can think of a riff as a song's first impression. It's that killer musical hook that just grabs you by the ears and won't let go. Okay, so what is a riff, really? It's just that short, super catchy guitar part that gets stuck in your head for days. It's the song's DNA, the main idea that everything else is built around. And what's wild is that the absolute best ones, they're often shockingly simple. And that's our first big idea. You really don't need a million notes to write a classic. Sometimes the most powerful, the most unforgettable intros are built from just a few perfectly chosen notes. And there is no better place to start than with the Rolling Stones. Back in 1965, they dropped a song that kicked off with a sound that, honestly, nobody had ever really heard before, and it completely took over the world. Believe it or not, that entire legendary riff is made of just 3 notes, played over and over again. The story goes that Keith Richards literally dreamed it up, recorded a rough version, and almost erased it. He thought it was just a temporary idea that a horn section would play later. But that gritty, buzzing sound, man, it was brand new, and it perfectly captured that rebellious energy of the 1960s. So what was making that brand new sound? It was this little gadget called a fuzz tone pedal. What it does is it takes a totally clean guitar signal and just messes it up. It distorts it, making it sound gritty and, well, fuzzy. It was a new piece of gear, and the Stones made it famous overnight. All right, let's jump ahead to another masterclass in doing more with less. AC/DC's Back in Black is one of the biggest, baddest-sounding rock anthems of all time. But its incredible power comes from a really simple, really clever idea. The real genius here isn't just the 3 simple chords they're playing, it's the space they leave between the chords. Those little moments of silence make each chord hit you like a ton of bricks. The song was a tribute to their singer Bon Scott, who had just passed away, and you can just feel that raw strength and resilience in every single note. Okay, so simplicity is one way to achieve greatness, but another way? Just tear up the rulebook and invent a sound that's completely new. These are the intros that didn't just start a song, they changed the sound of music forever. Back in 1964, most pop songs were pretty polite. They were clean. And then the Kinks came along and just blasted out of the radio with a sound that was so raw, so aggressive, and just totally different. The story behind this sound is absolutely legendary. To get that dirty, distorted tone, the guitarist Dave Davies supposedly took a razor blade and literally sliced up the speaker in his amplifier. What he got was this raw 2-chord monster that basically invented the blueprint for punk rock and heavy metal right then and there. And look, you just can't talk about inventing new sounds without talking about Jimi Hendrix. This guy wasn't just a guitar player, he was like a sonic scientist, mixing up music theory with brand new technology to create sounds that were from another dimension. The intro to Purple Haze is designed to make you feel a little tense, a little uneasy. He does it by using a very specific combination of notes, and then he runs his guitar through a pedal called an octavia, which adds this higher, almost ghost-like note on top of everything he plays. Back in 1967, it seriously sounded like music from the future. So what was that secret ingredient that made it sound so tense? It's a musical interval called a tritone. For hundreds of years, this thing was nicknamed the devil's interval because it sounds so harsh and unresolved. Your brain just hears it and freaks out a little. Hendrix took that forbidden sound and put it right at the beginning of a huge hit song. How cool is that? All right, for our last group, we're looking at the storytellers. These are the intros that do more than just get your attention. They build an entire atmosphere. They transport you to a whole other place before anyone even starts singing. And honestly, is there any better example of a world-building intro than this one? It doesn't start with a bang. It starts with a whisper, and it just slowly pulls you into its strange, mystical world. Yeah, Stairway to Heaven is the ultimate slow burn. It begins with this delicate acoustic guitar and recorders, like the kind you played in school. It gives the whole thing this ancient, almost magical feeling. The entire song is legendary for how it grows from this quiet, mysterious intro into this massive rock epic. Now let's switch gears to a totally different kind of atmosphere, one that's a lot less magical and a whole lot more menacing. Metallica built one of the greatest heavy metal anthems ever by creating a sense of creeping dread from the very first note. And the way they build it is just brilliant. It's all about layering. So first, you get one clean, kind of creepy-sounding guitar melody. Then a second, super heavy guitar comes in, playing the same thing. Then the drums kick in with this slow, pounding beat. Each layer just adds more and more tension until, boom, the whole band just erupts. It's like the soundtrack to a nightmare, but, in the best possible way. So what have we seen? Whether it's through pure simplicity or bold, rule-breaking innovation or careful, patient storytelling, all of these artists did the same thing. They created a sound that was instantly recognizable and absolutely unforgettable. And it really comes down to these three things. First, simplicity. A few notes can become a global anthem. Second, innovation. A new sound or a crazy idea can literally change music forever. And third, atmosphere. A great intro can build an entire world for you to step into. Because in the end, these riffs become so much more than just parts of a song. They're like cultural landmarks. They're the sounds of rebellion, of strength, of looking to the future. They are these little moments in time that we can all go back to with just a handful of notes. Which really leaves us with one last question to think about. The artists we talked about all define their era with new sounds and fresh ideas. So, what about right now? What are the riffs, the beats, the sounds being made today that people are going to be talking about 50 years from now? What's going to be your generation's satisfaction?